Many Opinions. If you're new, my name's Tamara, and today we're going to talk about how I use technology as a blind person. It's probably one of the most Googled questions on the internet when it comes to blindness, so let's demystify the process and walk you through it. But before we get into any of that, I have to say a big thank you. We just hit 200 subscribers this morning. I am so over the moon. I know it's small compared to some of the other channels here, but this is very new to me. I'm very excited. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Before I get into the demonstration portion today, I want to mention that not every blind person interacts with technology in the same way. Depending on your level of vision, people are going to need different adaptations to use their technology. If you have more vision or more functional vision, you're probably going to use magnifiers, whether they are external, like magnifying glasses, or internal software on your computer where you can adjust the size of text, contrast, invert colors, or do other things to help make it easier for you to see different things on screen. If you have less remaining vision or you get a lot of visual fatigue, or it's just easier for you, a lot of people who are low vision or blind use screen readers, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on today.
What screen readers do fundamentally is they take text-based information that you interact with, whether it's inputting or outputting, and translate that into auditory information.
Whether you have full sight or no sight, I'm hoping to make this accessible so everybody can enjoy. It's wonderful to see that people who are manufacturing large numbers of products, particularly phones, are introducing more and more accessible features every single year. The big three phone companies now, Google, Android, and Apple, now have a variety of accessible features, including a screen reader. Samsung has TalkBack, Google has Voice Assistant.
I said this backwards. Samsung has Voice Assistant and Google and Android have TalkBack.
And Apple has VoiceOver. If you're here, you may be wondering, how do I turn it on or how do I turn it off? Because a lot of people turn on VoiceOver by accident. The first thing that you do is, if you're on Apple, you can tell Siri, hey Siri, turn on VoiceOver, and VoiceOver will get turned on your device. Same thing is if you need to turn it off, activate Siri, hey Siri, turn VoiceOver off. But I want VoiceOver on for right now. You can also create accessibility shortcuts in your accessibility menu, which in Apple is under Settings and Accessibility. You can create a triple tap shortcut so I can turn on and off VoiceOver just by triple tapping my home button on the side of my phone. So first off, let's talk about phones. Phones are probably one of the most fundamental pieces of technology most people have these days, so it's wonderful to see that they're accessible. So first I'm going to turn on VoiceOver. I have VoiceOver on and I am now screen recording, so I'm hoping that if you have some vision, you'll be able to see what I'm doing on screen. First, you should know that with VoiceOver, you are changing the gestures that you use to interact with your phone fundamentally. So you don't just single tap on anything anymore, you can't just jump to anything on screen, swiping is different, everything changes. What you do is you run your finger along the screen looking for whatever item that you want. So,
reminders, weather, calendar, first day, December 10th, voice notes, Shazam, loading, email eyes, CAI.
And this is a lot louder than I usually listen to, but I know most of you probably can't understand that, so I'm going to slow VoiceOver down here.
Headings.
And by doing that, I take two fingers and almost unscrew a bottle cap. So I touch both my fingers to the screen and I can turn clockwise or counterclockwise with both those fingers to open up what we call the rotor. And the rotor can change a number of different settings, whether it's editing or changing volume or speed or other things that you can customize in your accessibility features menu.
Language, volume, 35%, 40%, 45%, 50%, speaking rate, 95%, 90%, 85%, 80%, 75%, 70%, 65%, 60%, 55%, 50%.
And I know for most of the experienced screen reader users watching this is going to be painfully slow, but I want to make it accessible for everybody. As I run my finger across the screen,
Shazam, Be My Eyes, Seeing a Clinometer, YouTube, Books.
It'll read every single one of the visual items on screen audibly to me. Here we're on the home screen, so it's going to read me the app names out loud. When I come across the one that I want,
Apple Apps folder, Shazam, Notes.
Now that I found my Notes app, and that's the one I want to select, all I do is I double tap with a single finger anywhere on the screen. And it'll open up that app for me.
Note, text field, is editing, low vision / blind focused gift giving guide, new line, infants.
And it's going to read the entire thing to me. Now, because I don't want to hear this right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take three fingers and I'm going to double tap on the screen.
Large, speech off.
And it's going to turn the speech off temporarily. I find that's typically useful when you're watching videos or when you're trying to interact with large volumes of text and you don't want to hear it all at once. One of the things that a lot of people
speech on
wonder about is, how do you actually type on your phone? Now, there's a number of different methods for typing. I prefer direct touch typing, which is a little different than the standard typing. With standard typing, it's just like you navigate your home screen. You search all the way through until you find the letter you want, and then you double tap to select it, and it'll type it into the text bar. But what I use is direct touch typing, and direct touch typing is a little better for more experienced users who have the muscle memory to know where most of the keys are. So when I'm typing, what I do is I use both my thumbs, almost like I use home rows. So my left thumb takes care of the left half of the screen and my right thumb takes care of the right half of the screen, and I only have to lift my finger for it to type the letter. So I'm just going to type some things at the top of this document here. So I'm just going to type in hello world.
Cap H E L L O space hello. Cap W O R L D.
So as I type each one of those letters, it's going to read it aloud to me. So if I make a mistake, I can just backspace. If I need to type it again, I can do that. I find that sometimes touch typing can be a little bit slow and cumbersome, so sometimes I will use dictation if I just need a quick note for myself or I'm sending a quick text. Or if I'm sending a lot of text or I need to type in a lot of information, I'll connect a wireless keyboard because I'm a much faster typist on a physical keyboard. One of the other features that I love about VoiceOver is I can activate the screen curtain. The screen curtain is great because it can give you privacy when you're interacting with your phone. So somebody can't be looking over your phone when you're using your banking app, or if you're reading sensitive information, you don't need to worry that somebody else can see it. So all you do to interact with your screen curtain is take 3 fingers and triple tap. 1, 2, 3.
Screen curtain on.
And then nobody can see what you're interacting with, but
Reminder. Voice Shazam, Apple, Seeing A, Clinometer, YouTube, Books, Alertable, Page 1, Audible.
But I can still interact with all of the information on my phone. If you have any other questions about how I use my phone, I'm happy to answer those, but I want to move on to my next piece of technology here. Next, let's have a look at my iPad. I interact with my iPad exactly the same way I do with my iPhone. It's just a much bigger surface. Typically, I treat my iPad like a computer. I will hook up a Bluetooth keyboard, and that's how I interact with it. With my iPad, I can move through all of the same things the exact same way as my iPhone. So I'm not going to show you that because it's literally the same, just bigger. Next, with my Apple Watch, I can interact with things, again, same way. I can use one finger to kind of move through the different items.
4:35 p.m. A while, December 10, 4:30.
And I can use my watch to tell me a variety of different things. Normally, I have my watch set to 100% speed at very low volume because I don't want other people hearing my watch talking to me. But it's great because I can just stick my watch up to my ear and hear all my texts, my emails, anything else that I need to access really quickly. But what I really love about my watch is they have a feature called haptic time. To activate haptic time, all I have to do is take a single finger and triple tap really quickly, making sure that the screen is off first. So I just cover it with my other hand to turn it off, and then I just triple tap really quickly, and it'll tell me the time using long and short buzzes. So I could tell that it's 4:39 p.m., and that's how I use my watch most of the time, is I love the haptic time because it doesn't have to wake me up in the middle of the night, or it doesn't have to bother anybody else by using any sound, and I can still tell the time. Finally, I want to show you how I use VoiceOver on my computer. I find using my full computer to be the most efficient way to access information. It's the most efficient for me to input information, so I use my computers all the time. So I'm going to move this setup into the office, and then I'm going to show you what it's like when I use my computer.
I'm now in my office on my desktop computer, and you're seeing me through the camera on my computer. I turn on VoiceOver by pressing Command F5. Command is the key right next to your spacebar, and I press those at the same time and VoiceOver turns on. And that's the same way it turns off. If you're on a laptop, just like when you're on a phone, you can hit the power button 3 times quickly and it'll turn VoiceOver on and off for you. For today, I just want to give you a really brief overview of how I do things on the computer. I can navigate my computer one of 2 ways. The first way is really bulky, but it can be useful in certain circumstances. If I don't know the layout of a window, if I want to understand how things are laid out in space, I can actually use my mouse, and I can run my mouse over anything, and it'll read what's underneath the mouse.
Desktop group, gingerbread folder. Desktop group, gingerbread part 1 folder. Gingerbread desktop group. Grace Note Bubbles Prep folder. Grace Note Bubble desktop group. Massage folder. Desktop group. Odyssey Music desktop group.
And I can move through all of my documents that way. Now that's really inefficient because I have to move slow enough that VoiceOver can catch up and read what's underneath my mouse. What's more efficient is using VoiceOver shortcuts and keyboard shortcuts, so I rarely touch the mouse at all. First things first, if you want to make VoiceOver stop talking, you can hit the Control key, and the Control key is the far most left key at the bottom of your keyboard. If I want to move into different parts of my desktop or different parts of my computer, I use one of a few different key commands. Command and Option are the VoiceOver keys, so if I'm doing anything and I want VoiceOver to do it specifically, I have to use those shortcuts to make it interact in a specific way that's specific to VoiceOver. So if I hit Command and Option together and press Command, Option, and D, it will go into my dock.
Dock. Photos 11 of 42. You are currently on application.item. To open this application, press Control, Option, Space.
And when I slowed down VoiceOver today, it actually turned on hints for me. I'm not sure why, I have to reset that, but it tells you how to interact with objects and it actually teaches you by doing. So if you need help, you can always figure that out by turning on hints if you're new to using screen readers. One of the things that I really like is I can search by first letter when I'm in my dock. I just have to press the first letter of the application that I'm looking for. So, for example, if I press M, it'll jump to Mail.
Mail 74 items. Open 5 of 42.
And it'll tell me how many unread items I have. If I press S, it'll jump to Safari.
Safari. Open 3 of.
If I press P, it'll jump to Photos,
42.
and so on. But if I don't know what I'm looking for and I'm not sure where it is in my dock, I can also use the arrow keys to move through each item individually and then just select by pressing Enter, or the VoiceOver select is Command, Option, Space. If I want to move up to my menu bar, I use VoiceOver keys, so Command and Option and M, and that'll jump me up to the menu bar. I go into the main section where most of your menu options are, and then I can navigate left and right with my arrow keys to interact with the different things without ever having to touch my mouse. Usually it's more efficient if I use key commands or memorize all of the shortcuts that it has listed. So once I find an item, if I'm going to use it over and over, I'm going to remember what the shortcut is to do that so I don't have to navigate through all of the menus and submenus next time. One of my favorites is using a spotlight search, so I don't have to actually navigate up into the corner, even though I know it's in the top right corner and I could go there with my mouse and I could just move my mouse to the top right. What's usually more efficient for me is I just hit Command Space and it opens up the spotlight search for me.
Blank.
Let's say I wanted to find Pages as an application. I just type that in,
Odyssey's on Pages. App Finder.
and then it's going to open that up for me. Now I can go through and interact, and it's going to tell me how to interact with that, but I just want a new document for us right now. When I'm typing, I feel for the little dots on the F and J keys, so when I line my fingers up with my index fingers on the F and J, I know that I'm in the right spot and I have the keyboard memorized, so I don't need to look at the keyboard. I've never looked at the keyboard, and I just had to learn by rote memorization to know where all the keys are. So it's really not that difficult for me, but I know for a lot of people when they're just trying to adapt to low vision, they often have large print keyboards, and they have braille stickers that you can put on keyboards as well. But all I do is I just feel for the F and J keys on a standard keyboard, and then I'll type something for you.
A-E-F-L-O-L-D world space space colon right parenthesis. Hello world. Please like and subscribe. Smiley.
So it will even read some basic emoticons. VoiceOver will read things phonetically to you unless you teach it certain things, but thankfully, most standardized emoticons, it will automatically read, like smiley face, frowny face, winky face. It knows those. So if you put those next to each other, it will read it as an emoticon. I hope that gave you a really brief overview of how I use the computer. If you have any other questions about how I navigate, if you want VoiceOver specific tutorials, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know what you want to see.
I hope you enjoyed this video and it helped demystify some of the ways that blind people use technology. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I'm happy to answer those. I love to hear from you. If you want to keep up to date with what's going on in my daily life in between uploads, I have an accessible Twitch stream every Sunday night, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time, and I have my other social media accounts linked in the description box down below. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.